So let me outline this the way I see it, because I have been very much in the camp of this whole thing is like completely dumb and completely distraction, possibly even an attack from whoever to DDoS the attention of everyone. So, but perhaps I'm missing something. So I want to make sure. So let me explain it the way I see it. And then I think BTC per plebs is an interesting point that I need to push on. So the philosophical question, I fundamentally disagree, whether or not you want something to be in there that's like, if you either support free markets or you don't, that's ridiculous in my mind. Just like, if you really feel that hard, like, or whatever about something in your own world, like feel free to do it, in your own chain, enjoy yourself. What I do think is important that has to be fought for Bitcoin is the ability for the common man to run a node. We've talked about this many times. That's like the only thing that I think is sort of sacrosanct is, can someone with $100 that lives in a third world country afford to run a node? If yes, Bitcoin has served its purpose. If no, it has not. That's the way I see it, that black and white. Now, in terms of how Bitcoin gets used, like you've said this many times, I agree with this. I think Kevin Kelly said this really well. We don't know what a technology wants to be until it's had, probably decades or centuries in the world. So who knows? If Bitcoin's a clock, what is it going to be used? It's going to be used for many things. Money's the obvious one, but like there's a lot of cool things you get with Bitcoin. But you can only do that, in my opinion, and keep Bitcoin sacrosanct if the normal man can run a node, which they couldn't do in all the crypto ecosystems. Now, how they get that data on chain, that's like a creative engineering question. And like, how do you do that in a way that doesn't get rid of the sacrosanct ability to run a node? In terms of the opportune versus other stuff, I mean, there's other ways you can get data in the blockchain. Like we had inscriptions, and people absolutely hated inscriptions, and the sort of the camp that I assume is pushing for all this now. And it's like, too bad, man. People are paying for it. It is what it is. Now, with the opportune thing, what I don't fully understand is, and maybe you can clarify for me, and this is where I'll bring in the BTC for plebs question, is the giant fight over whether or not we take off the limit for opportune. And if the answer to that question is yes, then I have two follow-up questions. One is BTC for plebs question, where she says the opportune data still has to be downloaded as part of the initial block download before it can be deleted. If that's the case, then is it still, if you go to the edge, a potential attack to say, if we take off the limit, we could literally just like spam it so hard that it's impossible for the common man to run a node? If that's the case, then I'm concerned. And then my other question is, let's say we just leave things as they are, whatever, keep the peace. I mean, people will just find other ways to store the data. And like, I mean, what's the issue?
Let me answer it. And for the first answer, I don't know if you're on yet, Max, and maybe you missed it, but
no.
Again, people can already store images on the Bitcoin blockchain
as inscriptions,
4 times cheaper as inscriptions.
Right.
So there seems to be a lot of people seem to believe that getting rid of the policy limit opportune is enabling this. And it's not. It's already possible. It's already happening. There's plenty of evidence. And it's 4 times cheaper to do it the way that people have already been doing it.
Right.
I already spoke on the show a few minutes ago about why the only scenario I can imagine that someone would use opportune for a big image and is to make a political point about this particular thing. There's no other reason. If you want to attack Bitcoin and bloat the blockchain as much as possible, you'll use an inscription, because you can put a 4 megabyte image in the block instead of only 1 megabyte. So, and you have the point about you have to download this during IBD. That's true, but it's also true for witness data. Yeah. So again, so to the degree that people are storing JPEGs in opportune instead of inscriptions, it's helping IBD. It's helping the person in the global south with a cheaper computer.
So just to be clear,
1 megabyte is smaller than 4 megabytes.
Okay, so the cost. So this is the point I don't fully understand. So if you do an inscription, you're paying 4x to inscribe to get whatever data you want in there. Is that
no? You get the witness discount. You're paying 4 times less.
Oh, got it. Okay, I see your point. So you're saying in this world, and even in this world though, if any additional data you append to the blockchain, no matter what, you have to pay a fee. You're saying the inscription is cheaper, so people are going to keep doing what already exists. If they want to do the witness data, they're going to have to pay more, which says there is a filter, and the filter is fees.
No, you don't have to pay more for the witness data. Maybe you meant to say opportune data.
Opportune data, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, and again, it seems people are not realizing, they think that the block size is increasing or something. Like, we're protected the reason we're protected to have cheaper computers be able to run a Bitcoin node is because of the block size. The block size is not changing.
Yeah. So I don't see what the issue is. So then, I mean, I guess my second question to you, I mean, so I'm very much in the camp of fees of the filter, free markets will solve. If you don't believe in free markets, like go run your own centralized chain. What I don't understand is why do we even need to make this change in the first place? I get your point. Yes, it was paternalistic in the first place. All things equal, we should have left it.
I just answered that. I gave 3 reasons. I gave a long-term risk, mining centralization fears. I gave a short-term risk, which is UTXO bloat. And then a third reason is the more philosophical paternalistic.
Well, let's go through each of those because I'm not sure I fully understand or grok those. So on the first one,
first one's like the slipstream one.
No, I get the argument, but I guess what I don't understand is if you really want to get something done out of band, why wouldn't you just do an inscription if it's cheaper anyway?
What do you mean?
Well, so it like why does
we don't want? I mean, for the health of the network, we don't want people going out of band.
Totally. I totally understand we don't want people out of band. My question is why, if we keep the current op return at whatever it is, 40 megabytes or kilobytes or whatever it is, 40 bytes, I assume, right? Is that right? Yeah. If we don't do that, why does doubling it or taking off the limit entirely increase the likelihood? Like if we leave it as is, why would more people go out of band? Why can't they, like, if they want to get extra data in and it's cheaper to do it via the inscription mechanism, why is anyone going to use this in the first place?
Yeah, so for op return, I think it's largely the, wanting to put like 140 bytes. There's like a window between 80 bytes and I think it's around 144 that it's cheaper to use op return than inscriptions. And so for anyone wanting to use that, it makes sense to use op return over inscriptions.
Okay. I mean, is that, I mean, like, I don't know. It seems kind of like a marginal issue to me then. Like, I don't know.
It is a marginal issue, which is why it's like, there's clearly underlying reasons beyond this trivial change.
Right.
That has people, saying chain code is corrupt and core devs are corrupt and all these personal attacks.
Well, so just to play devil's advocate, and my strong opinion is if it becomes this much of a fight, I think everyone's better off just like if people want to run their own, like free markets. If you want to run knots, knock yourself out. If you want a hard fork, knock yourself out. Like people will dump the whatever fork that doesn't. We've seen this with Bcash. Like I'm not worried about that. One thing, I mean, it would be better to avoid a civil war if possible. So my question on that is, I mean, I know you already gave 3 arguments, but like, is it the end of the world if we just like leave everything as it is and just focus on other stuff?
I think, I mean, if there's technical justification,
spit on you.
Yeah.
If there's technical justification for a change, I don't think a social mob should impact that change.
Sure, but like there's a lot of things that would be like better. I mean, yes, in the abstract, but there's a lot, like we always have to make trade-offs. So
I think fighting mining centralization is worth fighting for.
So I think that's the argument that maybe, and I know you've sort of fleshed it out here, but maybe the Bitcoin core community in general could do a better job of is really.
Well, that's why I wanted to cover this topic again today. I wanted to make that point. I also think UTXO bloat size is important as well. Minimizing UTXO bloat, like permanently unspendable or things that like in theory could be spent, but won't be. Minimizing that harm is very important. It gets to the exact point you made, Max, which is it's important to make it as cheap as possible to run Bitcoin software.
Yes,
I think this is important.
Is there a definitive piece that someone has written that just shows all of these numbers? And like, because what I would love to see is like, and maybe if someone really cares, instead of doing character assassination, all this, which I'm seeing online, which is just ridiculous. Like, I would love to see super, super clear the math of like, hey guys, here's the status quo. Here's the change. Here's what this does in numbers, our best modeling for mining centralization and bloat. Take this, and that's
it's almost like I'd almost like to see that written out. Like, if you believe in X,
exactly,
then choose this. If you believe in Y, then choose this. Exactly. And how you phrase those is kind of tricky because that can get political. But I think if you could sort of compare them in such a way where you have to say, like, I believe X in their fairly neutral statements, I think that would help people.
I mean, you've already got
the debate
BTC for plebs, who I assume was kind of skeptical of some of the stuff, saying that's fair. Fighting for mining decentralization is a good fight. I think everyone has gotten way too in the weeds. It's been way too much online. Yeah. And if we want to make it super clear, just like let's lay out the numbers of decentralization.
Yep.
That's my view.
Cool. I think we're talking about the V30 versus knots thing, but was there anything in this, like, forking Bitcoin is different, like a hard fork of Bitcoin is different than just having a different node implementation, right? Is there an actual discussion about a hard fork? I think Adam Back or Luke Dash was talking about Luke Dash Jr. maybe.
Is that real?
I don't know if that's real or what.
There's an article on it. I mean, first of all, I don't think it's super cool to share private DMs. Yeah, so I think that's uncool. But I suspect they're authentic. And yeah, I mean, in those messages, Luke said hard fork. I think he has his own lexicon and definitions for what hard fork even means. So I think it's, I don't think he meant hard fork in the way that the rest of us interpret hard fork. I also think it's like perfectly reasonable, especially in a private discussion about just like crazy ass ideas.
Yeah.
Like if you have a goal of like how to stop the spam and think about different tech, because like, again, we stated in the show, like no engineer knows how to stop it. And BitMEX Research, again, had that really good post on unstoppable JPEGs. So it's completely reasonable to like think privately about, or think about whether private or public, but think about ways to stop it. But I don't know, the particular method he was apparently thinking through certainly has some scary ramifications. My understanding of it would be introducing zero knowledge proofs to help you eliminate certain transactions that have, content that is undesired, but it introduces trust because there needs to be a trusted party to determine what is the bad content. And this harkens back to 4 years ago when Apple announced that they were going to start scanning all the photos in your phone for CSAM. So you start with this very disgusting activity that society at large like has consensus on. This is bad content. But it crosses a huge threshold of where all of a sudden it's not only Apple scanning your photos, but they're using an algorithm that they don't even know what it is. Some other person or group or committee or entity says, here's the bad stuff. Apple doesn't know what that stuff is. The consumers don't know what that stuff is, but it's just labeled bad. And then if you have bad content, you're flagged, and then you'll get in trouble or whatever. I think that's incredibly dangerous to introduce such a system on Bitcoin. It's a slippery slope. And Adam Back talked about the slippery slope there.
And that's a totally separate argument. Like, people want to debate whether or not op return should be increased. That's whatever. But adding zero knowledge proofs to try and scan what's in and what not in the blockchain, that sounds insane to me. Like, the whole idea that like Bitcoin is neutral is destroyed right there. And like, I mean, we have institutions, and this is where I guess I'm not like a full crypto anarchist or whatever. Like, there's still going to be a government. And like, if you post horrible things, I know if you post or you do it at a higher level, if you want to do it without a government one day. But like, the point is, like, we still have like people that break the law should be investigated and go to jail, but that's not Bitcoin's role to decide. That seems to me just a terrible argument on face, not even worth addressing.
Yeah. So at a really high level, I feel like we know of no mechanism to stop spam on Bitcoin without like these introducing trust solutions are non-solutions. The mechanism built into Bitcoin from day one, though, is fees. You have to pay fees. So everyone getting pissed off about JPEGs in the blockchain, well, we all need to find ways to create more demand for monetary transactions on Bitcoin. We talk about that every week in the show because we care about it. And I know everyone in the Knots camp and the anti-spam camp feel the same way, but I encourage them and everyone in Bitcoin to let's spend Bitcoin more often. Let's build applications that encourage people to spend their Bitcoin. Let's use Bitcoin as money. And then fees will be paid for that. That'll be the data that goes in the blockchain, and we'll all be extremely happy. So that's, to me, the high order bit for all this stuff. We can't stop it other than doing what I just said.